I'm Diana, I'm one of the NATECLA trustees, and for the last few years we've done a Teachmeet, which is a really nice way of people sharing ideas but not having to do a whole workshop. You get lots of ideas in a very short space of time, and you can do 3 minutes on your idea. And Laura is going to get very cross if people take too long. She has said she will, so because she's better at it than I am. But we are very grateful because we have our sponsors again this year for the Teachmeet, who are Ascentis. So I'm just going to ask Graham to do a little intro. So tell us a little bit, Graham.
Hi everybody, so my name's Graham Harwood, I'm from Ascentis, and I just want to extend a very warm welcome to everyone from all at Ascentis to the Ascentis Teachmeet and the NATECLA National Conference 2019. I just want to say a massive well done as well, and congratulations on an amazing conference and some great workshops lined up. So on all the conference organisers, well done. We have our Ascentis ESOL experts here all weekend. We are placed in the exhibition stand, so do come and say hello. We've got some great goodies, some great giveaways, so come and quiz us. We've got some nice new developments to share with you as well. We're adding to our pre-entry qualification this year. It's been very well received. We have new units coming in, My Story and My Local Area. And also 2 brand new ESOL qualifications at Entry 3 and Level 1 to support learners, ESOL learners, into mainstream education and employability. We're just still waiting to hear on the funding on that, but we're not worried. But come and talk to us about those if you have some information. And without further ado, back to Diana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much, Graham. And as usual, we are really grateful to our sponsors because we wouldn't be able to put the conference on if we didn't have them, and it makes a massive difference to us. Right, this isn't what we're going to look at for the whole time. I might actually just move that for a moment, and I'll move that too. So the idea this year, the theme is differentiation and sharing ideas about differentiation in whatever way you see fit. So there's no rules, there's no particular guidance on what to do. It's whatever you think might be interesting. So I'm going to call a few names up. If I haven't called your name and you've suddenly appeared, just stick your hand up later. We'll try and fit everybody in. So let's have a little think. Have we got Emma? Oh, where's Emma gone? You're over here. Do you want to do yours first, Emma? So everyone's got 3 minutes. We'll try and tweet a little bit as we go so that we can get a record of it for the people who aren't here.
Hello everybody, my name's Emma Scott and I work for an organisation called 219 and we basically support church-based language classes that are doing kind of conversational English with migrants in the community. So once a week I work in a conversation class and we have a mixture of levels. We have women who have, they're all women at the moment, but we have people who have been living in the UK for 20 years but have like really, really limited English still. We have people that are studying in a college as well. So we have a really big mixture, and I think one of our challenges is how do we then cater for everybody? How do we make sure that everybody goes away from the lesson with more confidence and an ability to go and make friends and build friendships and integrate into their community? Last term we had 2 classes. We had a lower and a higher class, and this term we just decided to merge them just to see what would happen, also because we had less teachers, so it was kind of out of necessity. So the idea that I came up with was just to do a topic-based approach. We chose 8 different topics, 1 for each week. We tried to think of topics that everybody would be able to relate to, enjoy, find motivating. And so we use this as a springboard for the lesson. And as I said, the lessons are conversations, so they are quite relaxed, which might be different to what you're doing. But we had that freedom to be able to basically kind of create a lesson around an interesting topic. So topics that we chose included things like the history of the area they live in. I'm based in Birmingham and this was in West Bromwich, so the history of that area. Another week was something that's special to them, to bring in an object and talk about why it's special to them, what it means to them. And another topic was what's your culture like? So just to get people opening up about the countries they've come from and what their culture does. So we started off each week with a kind of presentation, which might include, it might be the teacher or it might be the student coming up to the front and talking. So if they bring in an object, they can then share, like I said, what it means to them. So that would be quite visual, and we'd use lots of kind of objects and realia. we'd then follow this with some activities, and what I'd like to do is put students of different abilities together and get them to work on the activity together, because this means that they have to collaborate, they have to use language that might be above or below their level, but it means that essentially everybody is able to learn something. So for example, when we talked about the area, they might have a map and together work out, you know, which areas we're going to go and visit, how do we get from A to B, things like that. So it's quite task-based language learning orientated. Another week we did just origami, so they all had to make something, and obviously this is also really task-based. You have to use language to help each other explain how to make something. And like I said, they had the opportunity to do a presentation themselves as well, which really encourages them just to, well, with a presentation you're able to work at your own level, so you can just use the language that you've got. Great, so I'm going to finish because I've run out of time. Thank you.
Right, so next up we have Monica. Where's Monica gone? Oh, yes.
Don't start the 3 minutes till I've got the presentation up. That's not fair.
Laura's not that mean.
I probably don't really need them. It's not going to slideshow. From the beginning, right, okay. Okay, right. Okay, I teach in a voluntary situation in Cambridge, which is a group of Iraqi and Syrian refugees. There's people that can't get to college, so we teach them in a community centre. We have a very mixed group of people. People who are barely literate to people who kind of could progress quite nicely if they were given the opportunity. The strategies we use, we provide different materials, we provide differentiated worksheets, we give the same input but want a different response, we give differentiated question, we use some of the learners as teachers. So I thought these are probably all strategies that you all know about and all use. One of the problems that I find is that it takes up a lot of time. You know, I spend a lot of time, I teach on a Monday, I spend a lot of time on Sunday preparing these differentiated materials. So a lot of work, a lot of printing, and also I teach on a Monday, another teacher teaches on Tuesday, another one on Wednesday, so it's kind of difficult to follow on from one another. So what I thought was that I'd try using Quizlet, and I don't know, can you just put your hands up if you know Quizlet? Okay, I hadn't really thought of using Quizlet like this, but I thought Quizlet, it's an online platform, and differentiation is inbuilt into it because you've got practice in all 4 skills. So you've got a flashcard option that allows you to match a written word and a picture. You've got a learn with listening option. You've got a write option where you see the picture and you write the word. You've got a spell option where you listen to the word and you have to write it. And then you've got test exercises where you have a picture and then you have to kind of choose what the word is. There's also a games element, and one of the games element is a matching exercise. So normally you would match a picture with a word, and it's also timed. So you can do it and then you can try and beat your best time next time that you do it. And I suddenly thought, well, why don't I have match a word with a word? So I created a Quizlet where we've been doing cooking words with them. So we've got peel and chop and grate. So I did a matching exercise where you had peel and peel. So it's great for word recognition, for literacy. Now I've created 3 examples. I don't know whether we've got time to look at them now. But if I show you, if I can get to it. Trouble is, it will take time to get on here. Right. So this is a quiz. It sings in the kitchen. So you've got flashcards. Let me show you the learn one. So learn is where you match a term with a definition. So you've got the ironing board, and they've got to match ironing board with the word ironing board. Sorry, it's not moving on. One of the problems with Quizlet, as you can see, this is the free version, and the free version's got adverts on it. So this bit on the side, you have to tell your learners to ignore this. I've tried using Quizlet with the more advanced learners because I feel they're being held back because some of the learners can only cope with 4 or 5 new words in a session, whereas the really good ones could actually learn a whole word set. You could also do the matching exercise. If I show you the matching exercise, if I can get there quickly. So, start game, right. So you've got the picture and the word. So you've got food processor, and food processor, you've got to move food processor up there. Washing machine, you've got to move down here. Frying pan, move here. You see, I'm not going to do it because it'll take too much time, but you can see it's being timed. So when you finish, you get a final time. And so next time I do it, I'll try and beat my time, whatever the time was. And you could also do something like matching lowercase to uppercase. So you could do them, different words like days of the week, which sometimes people read in uppercase, sometimes lowercase. So you can match Monday uppercase, Monday lowercase. You could match all sorts of matching things like that. Have we got time to look at what? No more time. If anyone would like the URLs, the URLs I've created, I've put on a little thing here. You can have a look at them and play around with it, because the best thing to play around with it. Just the last thing, if you haven't used Quizlet before and you want to learn to use it, Russell Stannard, brilliant Russell Stannard, does free training videos on how to use Quizlet and all sorts of other things as well. So I'd really recommend that. And if anyone wants to take one of these, I'll just leave them on the table afterwards. Okay.
Thank you, Monica, that's great. It's kind of short and fast, but hopefully enough to get a taste of things. But yeah, what you can do later, obviously, if you've seen something, talk to people later on if you're staying, have a chat and do the same tomorrow if you get a chance as well. Right, so next up, can we have Eve from Oldham? It's not significant that she's from Oldham, but it is.
It means something to me.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I may or may not be able to use this. Just give me 1 second. It showed it for a moment then. Yes, and then it disappeared. Okay, I'm good. Okay. I'll see how far I get in my 3 minutes anyway. Okay, so I wanted to talk about using learner responding to written feedback as differentiation. So spending time in a lesson for students to respond to feedback on their writing. So it's completely individualised differentiation, where they're all working on something that they need to work on. So the first thing is, obviously, you need to set a writing task. So you need to make sure that there are clear criteria for the task and give the learners, okay, in this task we're concentrating on past tense and adjectives maybe. So they've got something in their head to start with. And then when you come to mark it, you mark it against those things and maybe don't mark all the things in there. And then when I'm marking, I'm trying to follow, it's not going to, trying to follow some of the advice on here, which is about reducing the amount of time I spend marking and increasing the amount of time learners spend responding to what I've done. So, for example, I used to go through everything and mark SP for spelling and G for grammar, and then at the end say, you've done really well with past tense, but you need to work on your full stops and writing out loads of sentences. So on here it suggests that you do one or the other. So if you've annotated the work, then don't write out a big written comment. Give the learner the annotated work and get them to write the comment. Have a look and say, I've got lots of G's. Okay, so my comment is I need to work on my grammar, or I need to work on my spelling. And it makes them look at the annotations, which I'm not sure they usually do. Or vice versa. I write a comment like, you have missed out 3 past tense verbs, or you've got 3 verbs that you need to change to past tense. And then the learner has to go to their work and find the 3 verbs that need changing to past tense. So I write the comment, but I don't annotate. So part of this is about reducing my workload, but the differentiation part comes when I give the student back their work with the feedback comments on, and they do an activity which is either looking at the annotations and writing themselves some feedback, and then maybe correcting the work, or looking at my comment and then going back and finding their own errors and correcting it. And I quite often spend 30 to 40 minutes in class doing that in different ways. How am I doing for time? Oh, okay. So a very quick one. When I give them a progress test where there are clear right or wrong answers, what I've started doing is I don't actually mark the test at all. I mark it against a grid for myself so I can give them a score. You've got 25 points. Then I hand them back with a marking scheme and get them to mark it themselves and see if their mark agrees with mine, and then write their own comment. And I'll stop there. I had some examples to show, but I think I'm probably out of time.
That's great. That's great.
Okay.
Right, so next up, can we have Catherine? Catherine, where have you gone, Catherine? Sorry.
I feel very shocked. Hello, I'm Catherine. I was an ESOL lecturer for just over a decade, and I'm lucky enough to be studying now, doing a PhD at Warwick University. But one of the things I enjoyed doing with students in FE colleges where I worked was trying to encourage them to kind of teach each other a little bit, with peer teaching. So I'm going to talk to you very quickly about vocabulary activity that I used either to check or pre-teach vocabulary before reading tasks, or midway through topics to check whether the students have learnt the vocabulary or understood it, and introduce more vocabulary on the same topic. Now I'm holding envelopes. It's quite low tech. All you need for this is to be able to type into Excel, and I just mean type, nothing else, no formulas, and print and cut up. If any of you watch the programme Only Connect, there's a part of that where there's a big wall of words and phrases, and the contestants have got to put the words into groups and then say why they've put them into those groups. I'll do that with topics. So, for example, say with an Entry 2 group and we're doing free time activities, and we've done some vocabulary and I want to introduce some more, then I might choose, say, 4 sports where you use the verb go, or 4 sports where you use the verb play, another 4 activities that are to do with maybe art and music, and then another 4 words that are places where you would do some of these activities. So I'd put students in groups, give them cards with all the words on, tell them they've got to put these words into groups. I will then tell them, you need to be in 4 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 4, a little bit of maths, if you've got to be embedded maths as well. Once they've got their groups and they've decided together that they all understand in their group what the words mean, so they might be translating at that point depending on the level of the students, they might be explaining to each other, they've decided on the topic of each little group. One person from each group will then go and visit all the other groups in the class to see if they've all got the same groupings. They've all got the same cards, but they might have done something different. They will then return to their group and maybe change their answers, or decide that everyone else is wrong and they are right, and they're going to stick with it. So together they've already kind of taught each other the meanings of the words. They've decided how they're going to explain the words. At the end, they would then do 2 other things. I would check back with them the groupings. They would all tell me, yes, I understand. I would then get them to put all the words, mix them all up again. They then have to choose a word one by one and explain that word without telling the others which one they're talking about. And the others have to guess what they're talking about. And they can either do this with the words facing up or down to test their memory. So they differentiate for each other and they kind of peer teach and assess at the same time. Sorry, I went over. Sorry.
This one aspect of differentiation is choice. Letting people choose topics, letting the students choose what they want to do. And this is a paper chooser, also called a fortune teller. Anyone familiar with these? Okay, a volunteer diagram. Right. Oh, colour. Red. R-E-D. A number 16502. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A number 16502. 2. Right, name a fruit beginning with A.
Oh, I don't know.
Right, okay, you got the idea. So, what you're going to do, this is a little kind of game whereby you write. Does anyone remember playing this as a child? Yes? So you write different questions, topics, whatever, and you can vary it however you like. So it's just a fun activity. You could use it for grammar. With obviously basic literacy learners, beginners, you could use numbers and colours and spelling. And then the actual questions could be about spelling a word, or it can be to do with grammar, asking them to make a sentence, or asking questions, you know, what did you do yesterday, what did you have for lunch, etc., etc. So what you're going to do now is make one really quickly, following these instructions. Okay, so those of you who have got the sheet of paper, take your sheet of paper, fold a corner, fold it like that, fold it like that, yeah. Then you have a piece here, fold it back, fold the other corner, so you get it like that, yes. Fold that piece back, and then tear it off. Tear it off, then fold it again. So you're left with a square. You have a square and you fold it to the centre. 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 I don't know if anyone's managed to, who's done it? Has anyone managed to do one? I'm just making one. Okay, you have to fold it a few times, press the... Okay, so once you've got it, and you could obviously use the opportunity in class to make it, you could either give the instructions verbally, they could follow it in terms of reading, you could demonstrate, so, you know, that's a nice kinesthetic activity. Once you've made it, ideas, lots of different ways you can use it for different kinds of activities. So they could make their own, or you could prepare, it depends if you've got a small class of only, 4 or 5 students, you could make them in advance. Use colours on the outside flaps rather than words. So on the outside flaps, you could actually just put the colours, and they've got to spell the colours, whichever colours you choose. You could use different numbers on the inside, not just 1 to 8. You could use different numbers, odd numbers, even numbers. And the questions, when they open them, could be as varied as you like. So personal questions about a topic, instructions to do something like touch your nose, pull your ear, stand up, it could be whatever you want. Spelling, you could use it for maths. There could be little maths questions. All different kinds of questions. Have I done 3 minutes? Yep. That's it? Okay, and there's links, anyone wants it. All right, that's it. Fun activity. All right.
Hi everyone, I haven't booked, yeah, I'm Mule from Coleg Menai, it's in North Wales. I just want to share with you how do we use technology for learning English. We use VR, we use VR for learning vocabulary and virtual reality headsets. Yes. Actually, it's really easy to use. Yes, it's easy to use, and then because when you teach them, they've got when they see something, they've got only 20% left. When they hear, they've got 30% left. But when they experience, they've got 90% left, and they never forget about it, that experience. So when we use VR headsets, it starts from £60 to £400. But you don't need to buy it. You can ask the IT department. They will do it for you. And you can ask them. But for us, we've got funding from our college. So we were very lucky to have different type of headsets. So for example, what we use a vocabulary, real one. When you go there, you can see it's 360 degree. And then you can ask, develop the vocabulary, and then you can ask them which one is which. And they never forget about it. And also, we can visit from our classroom to Mecca in Saudi with 360 degree with a guided tour. I can guide it, 10 left, 10 right, so they're learning directions. And also, like for example, St. Paul's Cathedral. From North Wales, we can visit St. Paul Cathedrals without filling the risk assessment forms and no cost. Yes, and we don't need to follow health and safety rules. What we need is a swivel chair, computer chair, because it's 360 degrees. They can look around everything. So that's what we use. Yeah. And also, we teach them for numeracy as well, using VR. Thanks very much. Thank you.
That's excellent. So virtual reality, go and have a chat about it later if you're interested, and tell your managers that it's much cheaper than going on a trip. So, and you don't have to do the forms, which is a big bonus. Now, have we got one or two extra people?
Hi, I'm Jenny Roden. This is related to speaking. It's a speaking task, and it's people speak at their own level. So in that case, it is differentiated. You all should have a picture. It's taken from one of those calendars where you've got a picture for each day of the year, and it's all the places that you need to go before you die. You might recognise it. I quite like them for teaching. I use them in all sorts of ways. Get them to write about what's on the picture, match the picture with the writing, guess who's written about what picture, say why they want to go to that place, etc. Okay, so there's all sorts of things which you can do with pictures, photos like this, but we haven't got time for that. So just today, we're going to do something which is not original, it's not my idea, and you might already know it. Does anybody know self in the picture? No, okay. I only came across this quite recently, and I think it's a great idea, and it's really easy. You just need a pen. Have you got a pen? So you're going to draw, can you draw a matchstick person yourself? Okay, choose a place in the picture where you want to be. Okay, you can be on top of something, you could be underwater, you could be on the mountainside, you could be flying in the air. Okay, put yourself in the picture now. Okay, have you got a pen? You haven't got a pen?
Just imagine.
Imagine. Okay. All right. So what you need to do is to, 1 minute each, explain to the person you're all next to you what you can feel with your senses. So what can you see? What can you hear? What does it feel like? What's the weather like? Then think about the WH questions. Who are you with? Why are you there? What are you doing it for? Those kind of questions. Answer those questions in your head. Tell your partner. And then also do the PPF, which is the past, present. Well, present you can see. So the past and the future. Why did you come here? What was preceding this, and what are you going to do next? Okay? So just a minute each, or half a minute each? 10 seconds. 10 seconds each? Okay? Half a minute each. Half a minute each. Tell each other those things. Okay, did you enjoy it? Was it useful? Are you going to try it out? Yeah? Good. Okay. I think the person who devised this, it was from a book, and I think it's Tessa Woodward. Do you know Tessa Woodward? I think it's her activity. It was in a book called Language Activities for Teenagers.
Tessa Woodward, Language Activities for Teenagers. Padlet's a really nice activity, and what I used this with 2 groups of teenage students that I had as a kind of homework task, and they were mixed level groups, so they were from kind of pre-entry up to level 1, and I wanted something where they could all engage with it at their own level and do their own thing and just decide what they wanted to do. And it's nice because they can just, if you give them the link, they can just add their own bit of information, their own pictures, their own writing. They just had to write about what they did in the holiday. So you can see that it's differentiated in terms of what they've produced, in terms of the level of writing, the amount of writing, the pictures and things. The advantage of this is different ones. One is that some of them could do it completely independently. The other is that some of them actually came in, they hadn't been able to do it at home, but they had a bit of support to do it in college, so that helped them to do that. The other really nice thing is that they all get to look at it and they share it without having to talk it all through to the same level. So you can do that, but actually they can be in a different class and they still get to share it without you having to do a display that takes you 3 weeks to set up and then gets kind of sorted out. So it's a really nice way of getting people to collaborate or just share things. And I think that we all know how much students like to find out about each other and read about each other. And as a sort of activity in terms of creating a really nice group feel, this kind of activity really helps to build links between students. So they will actually say, oh, did you go there? And how was that place that you went to? And it builds the conversations outside the class time, which is a really nice thing to do. So that's my little activity. So if you don't use Padlet, I would have a go at it. Okay. Anyone else? We're about up to time, so unless anyone really, really wants to show us anything, I can leave it up for you. Yeah, absolutely. Padlet's brilliant. If you don't use it, I'm happy to talk about it, and a lot of other people have been using it in workshops, so I would recommend it. That is the end, I think. We are out of time now. If you've got anything you want to share that you haven't shared now, but you want to share over dinner or later on, just go and have a chat with people. It's the best way. Do your own mini teach meets.